Hey, I'm Edie Spirit, and this is going to be my SGDQ2017 submission of 140. As you can see by the window right now, this is definitely post-commentated. This is because this is a game that requires intense concentration, and I can't commentate live while doing this since I'm constantly counting because it's a rhythm game stuff. I will have at least one other person on the couch to commentate for me if you're worried about that. I'll just need to see who is coming and who isn't. But yeah. Other than that, one other thing. You're gonna see a timer on the game screen in the top left. That is a speedrun timer mod that we allow for speedruns to give a completely accurate low list time made by Daleth. So yeah, it's not in the real game, but it's legal for speedruns of the game. So yeah, without further ado, let's get into this run. So it just took a second for my OBS to actually catch that window. But this is 140. It's a rhythm platformer. And because of that, everything is based on cycles. On my live split, you probably see a missed cycles thing. I guess I should explain that right now. If you know what a frame rule is in Super Mario Bros., all those old NES games and stuff, this game is very similar to that, as in, you can only progress to the next level on an exact beat, which is about once every 0.43 seconds. So I'm using that missed cycles counter to count how many of those beat rolls, we call them, we missed. Also, you may hear me say the word early activation a lot. Like right now, I'm doing an early activation for 1-2. That's just getting that getting that activation one beat rule earlier than normal. Okay, so here we're getting into the first major skip. It saves 7 seconds. And you just saw it right there. It involves doing some precise jumps. It doesn't look like much, but basically there's this thing called the coyote jump. You have a 7-frame window after you're not touching any ground to jump, and we take advantage of that to get what we call level 1 skip. And there I just got another early activation. So every level that progresses, it adds on another layer of music and another gimmick, I guess you could say. This level is kind of boring, except for the one early activation at the end, which can be very annoying. I don't get it in this run, but you can get it one activation earlier. It's extremely tight, and nobody knows really how it works, because... So you're going to see me catch this orb. You can catch it, like, when it looks like you're not touching it, and that'll get you the early activation sometimes, but other times it won't, even though it looks like you'll totally get it. Nobody gets how it works. There's a similar one later in the run that, again, nobody gets how it works. So here I'm doing elevator skip, and that just saved 7 seconds. The rest of this level is pretty self-explanatory. There's the spring to bounce you up. I guess I should say static kills you. That's what kills you in this game. There's one thing about this specific level. It's the only level in the game that doesn't run on beat rules. So you can... This is like the 8-4 of 140, where every frame counts in getting that orb. I think I get a... Yeah, this is decent. Not the best, but it's a decent one. Also, I guess I should say the reason we use the speedrun timer for accurate list times instead of live split is because live split's auto-splitting can be up to 15 milliseconds off, which is 1 frame, for every split. That adds up. So here's boss 1. There's RNG in boss 1. It's the only RNG in the game. You can see the squares and hexagons and stuff wheeling around. What happens is when you shoot one, it becomes the center of the next one's wailing. And you can see I lose time here. That's because I got bad RNG. What you want is, since you spawn in, like, it doesn't change your position at all after the boss fight. So you want to have good RNG to get the final square as far to the right as possible, so you can hopefully get up to 2 beat rules earlier in the level 2 hub. So this level here is, there's really nothing special about it besides the snakes, which I really like for no particular reason. There's a glitch that can very easily soft lock you in this level. It's not useful for speedruns, and we also ban it because it's more of a glitch with Unity rather than the game itself. So here I'm going to get another early activation, and the next level has another hard skip. This is a big run killer, as is boss 1. It's an extremely precise jump, again, taking advantage of those coyote frames to get through this bar during the short opening rather than the long one. It saves 7 seconds. So there's an early activation at the end of this level, the one I was talking about with 1-4. It's even harder than 1-4, and nobody really knows how exactly it works, because sometimes you just get it and sometimes you don't. I don't even go for it because it's extremely risky. Yeah, so I can get to that a beat earlier if I got it, but it's very difficult and not consistent. So this level adds anti-gravity, I guess you could say. I wish they used this more in the game because I really find it fun. This is a nice, relaxing level. There's nothing really hard about it besides the early activation, which doesn't have much risk to it. Yeah, so this early activation, I don't get it, but it's possible to get an early activation here. If you're... It's extremely precise, but it's not very risky to go for. Alright, so this is boss 2. Unlike boss 1, the other two bosses, boss 2 and boss 3, are very easy, and they're both auto-scrollers. So this is a good time to read donations, if you have any. It's pretty much the only downtime, since I also need to explain something during boss 3 and how it works. Boss 2 is just dodging. I guess right now I should explain, there's a trick called a corner jump. It's like the only glitch in this game besides window glitch, which is that one that's banned. It lets you jump higher if you jump at a pixel perfect spot at a corner while you're moving up. It's not useful for anything, so we just do it for swag. I don't think I get it at all in this run. But it's not useful for anything. We just go for it for swag. There's one spot where it's useful, but I'll get to that later. So this level, I die right here because I'm bad, first of all. This level is has the hardest skip in the game. This is the Widow or the Bride. There are two versions. There's the Bride and the Widow. They both save the same amount of time. What I did was the Widow. It was originally called GG Bridge, and then someone misspelled it to Bride. I also have trouble catching this orb. But it was originally called GG Bridge. Someone misspelled it to Bride, and then it just kind of stuck. And we found that only doing one of those blocks with the whole glitching thing that you saw is not any slower than doing both. So there's the Bride and there's the Widow. It saves 2.8 seconds if you do it perfectly. Alright, so this little thing we call the Wheel of Fortune. Kind of just because if you make any mistake in this level at all, since the wheel starts moving from the moment you start the level, if you make any mistake at all, then you'll lose 9 seconds. Because that is on a cycle, and you can only get the orb once every 9 seconds. Right, so this level has 2 skips. At the very end to get an early activation. EV skip and Z skip. Z skip was found first and can save 2 beat rolls, and EV skip can save 4. I think I get an EV skip that saves 3 here. Yeah. So you get that orb early. That's EV skip. Of course, it's named after me because I found it. So I saved 3 there. You can save another one if you're really fast. And Z skip was used before EV skip was found, and it's basically just jumping in a specific way to catch that orb when it's intended to be caught, and just save like 1 or 2 beat rules. So this is the last level before the final boss. There's a trick at the end called Dream Crusher, but if you get good at it, it's really easy. This is where corner jumps come into play. There's an early activation you can get in this level, but it involves 1, a corner jump, which is frame perfect and pixel perfect, and 2, you have to do the entire thing frame perfect at 60 frames per second. If you lose a single frame throughout this last section, then you don't get the early activation, and that's why nobody goes for it, because this game isn't that optimized. Like, even though it is only 2 or 3 seconds away from the best possible task time with current strats, this early activation is just too hard to go for. You can see how scary that looks. It's really scary, and going for the early activation is even scarier. Alright, so this is the final boss, and time ends on the last hit, and you'll see when it comes. So, if you know Undertale, and this, and Undyne's fight, it copied this. This game came first. I like to say it copied it. So you're basically shooting away the triangle that's facing you, or else you die. I think I do die in this run. There are 3 phases, and each one gets harder. So you can see that just rotated, without me doing anything. So you have to figure out the patterns and how to place your, triangle so that it shoots properly. See, I died there because I wasn't paying attention. The third phase is extremely hard if you don't know the trick to it, but if you do, it's really easy. And you'll see why. Alright, so first, I'm just pointing to the left because I'm off cycle because of that death. Normally, you want to start with a double rotation. So you can see that the triangles rotate now around you, but there is a little trick, I'm not going to spoil it, that allows this to be really easy. Yeah, so time comes not this hit, but the hit after. And as soon as this happens, time. So yeah, that's 140. Seems like a simple game, but it's actually very complex and difficult at high levels. I chose this run in particular because I did a bunch of runs earlier today, and I just chose one. I chose this one because it got all the major skips and had a couple mistakes. So this is probably about the time I get in the marathon. I got a 1643.2 loadless. I'm not sure how that equates to with loads. Probably about 1705. So, yeah, that's 140. I hope you enjoyed the run, and I hope you consider this for AGDQ. I will see you all next time. Bye.